Hello, everyone. We are live now with Day 2 Summit, Wellness Gap Summit. And I have my favorites people here. Today, we're going to talk about infertility. I'm saying fertility issues and energy working. Why Perfection Blocks Fertility with Tsao-Lin Moy. She is an acupuncture best-selling author. She's been in my another book, Naturally Conceived. So she's 2 times bestseller author, alternative and Chinese medicine experts with more than 20 years experience. We have another person, Cristy Murray. That's the first time I have her in the panel. She is nurse practitioner, functional nutrition consultant, and she's going to talk about navigating through infertility. And another favorite person is Christi Clemons Hoffman. She's number one best-selling author of Gap. She actually wrote a chapter there, and she's going to talk about energy healing and mind and body connection. All right. Thanks for being here. Be with us
So
till the end.
much.
All right. I think all of these topics are kind of, I have to mute all of you first. I see all of these topics kind of related to each other because acupuncture talking about the points and healing and energy, and also Christy working on chakras and energy as well, and Cristy Murray talking about the functional nutrition topic. As we talked about functional medicine yesterday with great expert today, we're gonna focus on. Uh, Naturally heal. I'm not saying naturally, maybe fertility issues. All right, thank you for being here. We'll start with Tsao-Lin Moy. I already introduced her, but I want her to talk as well. So thank you, Cho.
Oh, thank you, Pantea. I'm excited to be participating in your summit. And so I've been practicing acupuncture, Chinese medicine now for over 20 years. I have a brick and mortar practice in New York City in Union Square. And speaking about one of the topics, a chapter in my book from "Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Get Pregnant Naturally." For getting pregnant naturally over 40, right? But that is, I see more and more women are struggling, less about the age and the stress and the need to be successful, and how really perfection is, I think, one of the most disruptive uh, things, mindset to that a woman can have, or a couple. Usually it's more the woman, right? She puts a lot of pressure on herself to conceive. And so that's actually, I have that as chapter 8 about, is perfection, like sabotaging. And often in the fertility space, we see so many women are, they're they're very successful, they're exercising, they're dieting, they're doing everything perfectly, and their numbers are all looking good, right? Their hormone numbers look like there's nothing wrong, and yet they're struggling to get pregnant. And the more they search for what's wrong with me, it actually kind of pulls them further and further away from their connection, that mind body connection. And as I kind of discuss, our bodies are supposed to be soft, and they have a rhythm that actually follows the cycle of the moon. We're very much connected to nature. We are not machines, so our body energy is going to change, depending where we are in a cycle. One of the and the big problem is we think like being productive all the time, success, and every week, every month, that pushing ourselves to be a certain way is not realistic because our body has a rhythm to it. And the other aspect is that how perfection also creates this not liking ourselves,
I
right?
love that. And you have a chapter, I mean, few chapters about feng shui, right? I
Yes.
love that book. And I love your chapter, Inside Naturally Conceived, because you can't separate acupuncture from your life. I love acupuncture, guys. And it always helped me, not only for fertility, but having the balance on my hormones and my body. Thank you,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, you're welcome.
Christy Clemons Hoffman, she is the bestseller author also Inside the Gap, and she wrote a chapter about the energy. I know all the meridian systems and chakras are related to every part of the physical body as well. So let's just go first, introduce yourself, and then we go back and talk about it. Oh, you are mute. Okay, hang on.
Thank you. Yeah. um, and my name is Cristy Murray. I am based in Kansas City, Missouri, and actually my office is in Prairie Village, Kansas. But I am an energy worker. I'm a Reiki master, hypnotherapist, and a medium and psychic. And yeah, I wrote a chapter on how energy affects the body. It's exactly what Cho was talking about. Um, our beliefs, our thoughts, our the energy we put into our body has to go somewhere. And the chakra system is really energetically what controls the body. And it each of the chakras is governed by different thoughts, different beliefs, right? Different incidents that happen in our lives and what we feel about them and our emotions. And then it's also each chakra is connected to its own physical structure, whether it's the brain, the thyroid, the heart, the digestive system. Each chakra has its own individual thing that it governs. And so when we're talking fertility, that takes place in the sacral chakra, which is below the navel, it's above the pubic bone, and it holds our thoughts about femininity, about relationship. We hold relationship trauma there. We hold our creativity as well. And then physically, it governs all of the reproductive organs, the lower GI as well. So when we have a disruption or a belief that's not in alignment, or thoughts that are not in alignment with, for example, fertility, or just in alignment with who and what we truly are, we can have some difficulties there. Now, I will say, full disclosure, I struggled 7 years with fertility only to end up with the child I needed to have and was destined to have through adoption. And it was a wonderful experience for me. It was not the experience that I'd hoped for, but it turned out to be the right experience for me. And I discovered many things in my fertility journey that I would not have discovered otherwise. So I'm so grateful for those 7 years, even though they did not result in a biological child, at least not my own biological child. I couldn't give that up for the world because it was a huge opportunity for growth.
Exactly.
Thank
Parenting
you,
is
Pantea.
amazing. Amazing. So, Cristy Murray, I really wish to know you more. That's the first time I have her, and my audience doesn't know you yet. So, um, so tell me about yourself. I know you are a nurse practitioner and you are functional medicine practitioner, right? Tell me about your own story about the fertility and why did you end up doing what you do right now?
Okay. Hi. I'm like to get to know everyone here. You are the team that I wish I had known when I was going through my own journey in fertility. Um, so my name is Cristy Murray. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm in Alaska. I work full time as a women's health nurse practitioner, but online, I decided to expand and open a health coaching practice serving women, specifically in fertility, because of my own experience. I also actually call myself an infertility survivor because I do have 2 children now. And women who go through infertility, I agree with you, Christy Clemons, that you go through these experience and you come out resilient and all these life skills and strength that once you get past that, you just want to help other women and give voice to infertility. Because when I was going through it about almost 15 years ago, I went through it about 3 years. It was almost a scarlet letter. You don't want to tell anyone that you're going through it. It's a shame factor. People always coming up to you. Why? What's wrong with you? And it's always like, well, what's wrong with you? Well, nothing's wrong. And over time that adds to your emotional roller coaster, and you don't know who to talk to, you don't know who to go. So I was not a nurse practitioner back then when I went through it, and I took it upon myself to do my own research. I actually still have this big folder of everything that I printed and all the providers that I had looked into in the past. So now fast forward, I'm a nurse practitioner in medicine. I took all these extra certifications, functional medicine and nutritional endocrinology, so I can help more women navigate this rocky road. Is I do believe that you do need a whole team, and you can't just concentrate on like, I just want to get pregnant, but there's a whole mind-body connection. There's your community, your relationships, and your own mindset, and everything falls into place once you get that navigated properly. And we hear so many times that some people, they decided to take a break or they go on vacation and they come back pregnant.
Exactly.
Yes.
I just want to introduce myself as well. Probably some of these audience don't know me yet. Pantea Kalhor, I'm 5 times bestseller author, and I'm a certified PTSD and fertility coach, and functional medicine practitioner. The point is, my fertility journey happens when I had asthma. I had a lot of hormone disruption, and I didn't know, as Cho said. Practically, when you look at my papers, everything look perfect, right? But I didn't know why this happening to me. Yes, I was over 40 when this happened, and I was struggling for 2 years. But then, if right now, with these science that I know about the acupuncture, about the functional medicine, if I came back to that point, I said, I wish I had this information. Then I didn't have to struggle for 2-3 years, right? I know there is a big connection between the functional medicine and the acupuncture as well, because we are looking at the whole body. And the point is, with the functional medicine, you can have the labs that is not really available in conventional medicine, because you never go through your cortisol level in your conventional medicine, right? Once, when I studying functional medicine, I asked my doctor, can you go through my cortisol level? He said, no, why do you want this? You really don't need this, right? And then now I know there are lots of hidden layers there, and it's not only your fertility, productivity and fertility system that it should look into it. You have to go through your whole body. And what I like about acupuncture, that's for more than 2000 years, right, Joe? It's been a long time that it's been there.
Actually, longer than that.
Longer than that.
Yeah, 2000 years is like that's in the
3000?
in the Western world. It's like that's when the Western world started.
Yeah.
It's actually even older than that, because when they look at texts that are written around 300 500 BC, it didn't start then, right? That was when they actually put together a compendium. And so the medicine is really, really old, really around for a long time. And It's true. I mean, it's energy systems. The biggest is really that mind-body connection. And most recently, I can share, I was reading again over and over. It's the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine called the Suwen Neijing, which means the simple questions. And that was compiled around 300 BC. So that was when the advice, gathered and put into a book. And to be a good practitioner, what does it say? One of the tenets is the practitioner, the physician needs to have a mind-body connection. And if they don't have that, then they also need to understand what is the internal, like what is the energy and how it works. And you find what is called the Tao within your patient, right? So you understand that this is about the ancients believe that if you to have optimal health, you had to understand how to transform the energies of the universe. And it really didn't mean outside there in the stars. It meant the universe within you, right? Your energy, your center, and how you relate, right, on this, on this planet, in this reality. And I love to always go back and reread chapters, and you go, wow, okay, that was, as practitioners, we have to, have our shit together, right? We've got to be in that place of calm and recognize how we can hold the space for those women that are just, spinning out, and again, like all the research done. I mean, my patients, when they come in, they've got like pages and pages, and they tried this and this supplement, that, like they've done so much, and there is a point where, though, it's not helpful for them because they're just searching, and the more information they get, it creates more of these funnels, right, that tell them there's something wrong and you need this, you need that, and really to be able to educate these women so they can make informed decisions, really, and know their body. Everybody else wants to manage it for them. Yeah. So yeah, it's looking at everything.
Yeah, I said I like that because, as you said, that's the work that you have to do it. Your practitioner help you to discover what's wrong with you, but there are some people that just whatever they said, I don't do too much cooperation, so it's not going to work for me. The point is here, um, as you know, mind-body connection also include PTSD. So people who go through trauma have some disruption in their energy system. That's one part. They have some disruption in cortisol level, in so many hormones, right? So that's the whole body you have to look into, right? So what we are going to do, we're gonna start from the point that somebody come, let's say, to Cristy Murray as a nurse practitioner, and she goes through their papers, see what's happening with them. What do you do the next step?
So my first thing that I ask them is, of course, I do, as a health coach, I do an intensive intake. I don't look at labs yet, but I look at their lifestyle. If they have any support, what are they doing? Are they going through this by themselves? Also, if, like, mindset wise, why do they want to get pregnant? Are they just feeling pressure from other people? But do they really want to get pregnant? Or really, is it being a mother per se? Because you can be a mother a different way. The child that you adopt, it's a child that's conceived in your heart. Or are this person stuck in, no, I want to get pregnant because everyone else is getting pregnant and that's just the way it is. So really, mind-body connection, that's the first way. But then, like in my usual clinic practice, I usually run with his labs and identify what's off. If nothing is off, then I go ask them, what's your stress level? What do you do? And in addition to that, I also involve the partner. And I tell them it takes two. It takes two to tango. It takes two to make a baby. You can't just keep blaming yourself. 40% of unexplained infertility is male factor. So they really have to be aware of that and just not keep beating themselves up. No, it's me. I know it's me. And I've heard that so many times from women. And yet, and then I bring up, we need your partner tested. And they're like, oh, really? Well,
I like that.
let me talk to him first. And it's like, really, if you're like tiptoeing around your partner and he's going to be the father of your child, maybe it's time to reassess what's going on. So that's the start. And then I tell them about the other treatments that's available. I don't directly talk about IVF, and I tell them there's these things that you can do to take care of yourself and get your body ready. There's diet, there's lifestyle, and then I slowly talk to them about, do you have are you able to go to acupuncture? Because if your cycle's off, it needs to be regulated. If not going straight to hormones, then there's this other things that you can do, really empowering them, that they don't feel like there's something wrong with me, I'm broken, why can't I get pregnant?
Yes, I like that. The exactly what I always do, like talking to somebody about the lifestyle is the first step. If they have any PTSD issues, trauma, or any, if they are workaholic, that's chosen, right? Even one of her book, one of a chapter in her book talking about the work, because people saying, okay, I have to work hard, or even they think that taking a lot of exercise help them to get pregnant or get the body ready. I had a client, she was in a gym all the time, and that was the problem. She couldn't get pregnant because she worked hard. After working 8 hours, she went to gym and she worked there. She didn't have any energy left. For your body to conceive, you need enough energy, right? Even more energy than you use for living. And she already gone to run out of energy. Right now, we're going to talk about energy with Christi Clemons. She's an expert about the energy, about the Reiki and chakra. Have you done any Reiki for your clients who have fertility issues?
I tend to specialize in women who have difficulty holding on to a pregnancy. So with fertility, of course, there's becoming pregnant, but then holding the pregnancy long, to term. And that's where I tend to come in. That's just the type of clients that are drawn to me. And yeah, we work with the body's energy system to be at its optimum to hold on to the energy of that pregnancy. Now, gets a little bit extra woo-woo, but there are many children, many souls that want to be born that are extremely high vibration. And the mother's vibration needs to be high enough to hold those children. And I do tend to specialize in that as well, having some clarity within the energy system that allows the pregnancy to stay. So if we imagine the body's energy system like a garden hose, if the garden hose is straight, then the energy, the flow of water, the flow of energy can flow through unimpeded. However, if there's a bend, if there's a kink in that garden hose, we don't receive the stream of well-being that we need. And so the body needs to function at its best with balanced flowing energy. And that's what Reiki does. We look at what is blocking the energy flow, what is blocking the body, what is blocking the spirit, the mind. So this can often be trauma, as we've discussed, negative beliefs and thoughts. For example, if someone told a woman when she first got on the pill that, oh, you have to be very careful, you'll not be able to conceive if you stay on this too long. Or, many of the messages that we get as we're growing up and developing and being active. And we can internalize some of these messages and then basically tell our body, you're not going to get pregnant, or I'm not going to be a good mother, or I'm not going to enjoy being a mother. We can internalize all types of messages like this. So, what Christy said, I believe, about the body and the desire being at odds. And so I try to align that. So I've got techniques that help remove other people's energy, whether it was a partner that we never really disengaged with. We may have broken it off, but we're still carrying that connection and that strong desire to not reproduce with that person. So I can work on clearing that energy. And then also just the grief. I think we don't talk about the emotional toll as much of fertility, the grief, especially once we decide,
Miscarry.
pardon?
Well, once we miscarry.
Right. And then also once we grief, once we decide that, okay, it's not going to come naturally, maybe I need to go to IVF, maybe I need to have some assistance. And so we don't address that and the emotional turmoil of that. So I have techniques that identify what that emotion is doing in the body, give it identity, give it a voice, and then clear it. So that really helps the body just to be prepared to hold a pregnancy to term.
I'm gonna add something about my own journey in IVF. Uh, um, n- Science is good, but if your body is not ready, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's not only hormones. You have to emotionally be ready to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And Cho in her book has always asking why. Why do you want to be a parent? Why do you be a mother? Like. Uh, I guess for myself is like I want to be productive, right? I love to be creative, and I love to produce something. Maybe that's the reason for many people want to have their own child. They want to be continued. They want to see themselves that they remain somebody in this world, and when they die there is always somebody who continue their way. I don't know, everybody has their own reason.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say, Joe, somebody come to you and they have fertility issues. Do you recommend they come with a partner together, or and what do you say to them and how do you start?
That's a great question, because the 90 some odd percent of my practice is women. And I would say that most of them, by the time they come to me, they are like on the edge. They've either done a few IUIs or maybe even done an IVF cycle and it's not working, or they get the results that say they have that their egg count is low, like they have a low ovarian reserve. They're and they have already kind of entered into the urgency and the chaos. And with the fertility clinics, they do wonderful work. I mean, for if you know women before that suffered with getting pregnant didn't have the opportunities that women have today. And also at the same time, women are a lot more stressed out, which I kind of, it almost like evens it out. Uh, so, but often the clinics, when they go, they don't test the male first, which is really easy. I mean, definitely you want to make sure, check hormone levels. You want to make sure a cycle is regular. There are no, fibroids or there's cysts or, any other things or blocked tubes, right? That's really like basic, let's do, like make sure there's no physical blockage, no hormonal imbalances, those kinds of things, underlying infections, before you jump into, something that is going to be much more invasive. But most clinics do not say, let's get your husband or your partner in here, because we want to check at the same time. They'll kind of let the woman go through, right? And because it's a really, it's a moneymaker. I mean, for men, they just need to go to their primary care and they'll write a script for a urologist or to do a sampling. It's not a difficult way to, to check what's going on. And with men, they have such a high turnover of sperm that they can do things like take supplements, or perhaps there's a varicose seal, something that needs to be addressed. And, some clinics, they are like, yeah, it doesn't matter because we're just extracting and we're going to spin and we're just going to take a handful. And so that in a way that the medicine implies that the men don't have to really participate that much because we're just going to focus on women's issues, right? And it's, on my intake, I do have, it's like, oh, has your husband or your partner been tested? And it's either yes or no. And some women, I hate to say, their partner refuses to. Yeah, I see some heads shaking. They refuse because
Unfortunately, because they think that there is nothing wrong with them.
it's a machismo thing too. It's
Yeah.
this and that leaves, the women to really, keep searching, that the problem must be with them. And perhaps the problem is that they are not insisting that their partner participate. And later on, it shows the same, like who's picking up the kids, who's doing the daycare, who stays home from work. When one of them gets sick, both have careers, but the woman is kind of like, taking all of this on. And that's a huge burden, and energetically very difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, for like secondary infertility, you kind of look at, well, you were able to get pregnant the first time, and now the second time, really challenging. And often there's this energetic block,
Exactly, Joe.
right?
Exactly. Because when you have kids, the first one, I only have one, and we decided not to go for another because it's very energy consuming. It's not easy to raise a kid when you are alone. You don't have any family around to take care of the kid, right? So the when you have one kid and you can't sleep properly, sleep shortage is the most important one. And then you can't do whatever you did before, like a regular basis, taking care of yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you are not the person you used to be before the baby. And then for the second child, you are not the person before the first one, because you already consumed all the energy. You already spent whatever you had before. So that's why it's not really easy to have the second one. That's why people try not to have another one. But as you say, I had some clients for the secondary child and secondary fertility. They didn't have any problem in the beginning. They thought that there is no problem this time, they can get pregnant. But not only the women, the men also, they get very tired because they have to, the woman stay at home, and the man should do the work by himself, and it's not easy. All the burden on him as well. So that's why we don't check the cortisol level or the hormone balance for the men when they are not ready to get pregnant as well. So that's the production for two-person, not one.
Well, I
So
mean, the
that's
male,
yeah,
the participation, I mean, there's still a big cultural thing of, if the male says, I'm helping you, I help around the house with the housework, it implies they're helping someone else to do their job, but it's not their job. It's not their responsibility. It's like, well, I help you by doing I help you. They're like, oh, because that's my job. I mean, you're helping me, but so very subtly, energetically, it's like how much support, you know, and really, it's like yes, men cannot carry, right? They can't carry. So, but that doesn't mean that their responsibility energetically is not
Exactly.
there, right, to do
Exactly.
it. And so, yeah, it's very challenging, for the men to, even take. I mean, I had one woman where I recommended. I said, okay, here is a supplement that can help with, prostate inflammation, just a general, you're taking a prenatal, he could take this, this will be okay for him to take. And she said she told him that it was a vitamin. She didn't say it was for prostate health. She didn't say that it was. She said, like, oh, I just tell him it's good for energy. He really loves it. He loves it. But I hide the label. I took the label off of the thing, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's for some cultural issues for
Yes.
some people. Cristy Murray, um, I want to ask you some question about the functional medicine perspective. Let's say for for the women who come to you, I know gut is a really important one because some of my clients have the same problem. They have IBS, constipation, or um, some other gut issues. And when I insist that you need to remove this issue first, right? They say, no, there is no problem. I'm going to go with this. And I had this issue for a long time and it's not related to fertility. So, what do you want to say to them?
So first, I'll tell them that it's all interconnected, and like really, disease begins in the gut. The gut is the first place that you are not just what you eat, but you're what you digest and absorb. So if your gut is not functioning properly, it doesn't matter how many supplements you're taking, how healthy foods you're taking. It's all going to go through, and you're not going to get the benefit of it. And there's a lot of neurotransmitters that are produced in the gut, and gut issue is like actually adds to stress. And if we're stressed, we feel it in our gut. And when we're stressed, cortisol levels rise. Cortisol rises, there you go, blood sugar imbalance. And it's all, and I tell them it's like a domino effect. We don't look at just estrogen or progesterone and in your womb. It's like a domino effect. Only one needs to fall, and then it cascades into everything else falling. So we look for what we can optimize, and then go from there. Get those dominoes sitting back up so they're perfectly lined up for conception.
Beautiful. For the gut, Cho, how do you address gut in your own practice? Oh, you are mute. You are mute.
There we go. Great question. I actually put them on a probiotic. One of the first things that I ask, because that's going to help with inflammation. I also, in Asian cuisine, there are always fermented foods, right? So either like cabbage, like, pickled cabbage and ume, various different things to replenish the gut. So a full workover, the intake form I have is at least 6 pages long, and you're always looking at these various, areas. And so, yeah, I recommend a probiotic. I look at, what other supplements and things that they're taking, because a lot of times when they're just taking too many things, and so that can be also like they're not they're irritating their liver. So that is one of them. But yeah, the probiotic. And when someone says that they eat a lot of yogurt, I'm usually like, well, I want you
Dairy
to kind of
product.
limit your dairy.
Yeah.
So those are, because it's actually a very poor um, substitute. It's a poor source for a probiotic,
Probiotic.
right?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I love yogurt. I still love it, but I don't take it because of this. And I feel it's in the nature. Yogurt is very cold as well, right?
It's phlegm, and
irritating.
a
Yeah.
lot of people can't digest because of the protein, right? The milk proteins, and in the U.S., it's most of the dairy comes from the source of the dairy is very suspect. All comes from genetically the same two cows, and the way that it's processed. So it's really not a great source for a probiotic.
Exactly.
And yeah, and also processed foods. I mean, we go through a whole bunch of things, and usually there's something that I can see there that it could be one small thing they need to just stop, like stop the diet soda. Like that for me is big red flag. Diet
Yeah.
soda and like pumpkin latte things. Those are
Pumpkin.
pumpkin
Pumpkin.
latte. Well, pumpkin. Like the I don't want to
Pumpkin
name.
spice,
Yeah, like all of those like
flavored
sweetened.
lattes.
Yeah,
Oh.
like all
Great.
because they're usually like those. They're usually sweet. They have like an artificial sweetener, and if
Oh.
they're taking soy, like personally, I have like a couple of my patients. We started doing it. I make my own like almond milk because that way
Exactly.
it's easy to do. There's not you know there isn't any filler in it or stabilizer. Uh, so yeah, if they can, you know, to make their own, do your,
And
it's
it's
actually easy.
interesting. Before this acupuncture and holistic medicine for myself fertility journey, I thought that mango is really good for me. Sweet potato is really good, even if I was irritated by those. I don't like sweet potato, to be honest. But I thought that is good for me. Took it. Then I see my body doesn't respond to it, right? So the problem with this is you have to customize your diet. Your diet maybe is not good for another one. Maybe you are really good with sweet potato, but maybe you are not good with mango. But my diet was different, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And
Yeah.
I like another thing I like in our interview last time, you talked about the fruit, and you said uh, don't take fruit even if you chop it. Fruit is good, but when you um,
You make it into a smoothie and then
yeah, a
that,
smoothie, you everything is gonna be released, right? The sugar, and you
yeah, that
think that
was, yeah,
yeah,
that was part of an article. I have to see where the it was one of the articles on quitting sugar. And what it was is that, those green drinks and the fruit drinks are like, oh, fruit. Because there's a certain amount of sugar in the fruit. When you eat it in the smoothie, there's still the same amount of sugar, right? The only thing is once it gets into a blender and it gets agitated, what happens is that the sugar is all released, so you get a spike of sugar, right? And so that becomes the problem of having these spikes of sugar. So it's like, oh, a certain amount, but then you have to look at the delivery system, right? So you can be disrupting your blood sugar, even though it's all healthy. That the agitation and the process, like once that happens, it just it releases all the sugars right away.
exactly. So we're gonna go to liver congestion. I start with Christy Clemon with the chakras. Which which chakra is related to liver, and what kind of emotional status again related to liver?
So the liver falls under the solar plexus chakra, which is where the solar plexus is, right at the top of the abdomen, right under the rib cage. And the solar plexus chakra governs feelings of control or powerlessness. Either we're standing in our power or we're giving our power away. We feeling like we're in our control or overstepping our control. So it's issues of power and control. And physically, this can result in, yes, liver problems, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, stomach, upper GI in general. But also it can result in irritability. Now, also the solar plexus chakra is where we store a lot of our emotions. Anger, for example. And anger is often related to questions of control and power. And so releasing our anger as it arises, it's fine to feel anger. In fact, it's necessary to feel emotions like anger, but we cannot hold on to them. We cannot swallow them down. And many times, women especially, we feel like it's not ladylike. And again, that would be a sacral chakra issue because it's issues surrounding gender and how we feel about our gender. But we will often swallow down our anger in an attempt to come across as ladylike or complacent or going along, when that could be causing us some issues. And so it's really appropriate and necessary to deal with emotions as they come up and to release them, because that could be blocking from either being able to conceive, it could be blocking us from our partner, it can be blocking us from, oh my gosh, what is this thing growing inside of me that I didn't really want in the first place? And then questions of holding on to a pregnancy when, there are a lot of other issues going on with the pregnancy. So I think that this is a very important thing to address, is dealing with our emotions adequately and thoroughly, and as soon as we can, as soon as they arise, not holding on to anger, not holding on to
Beautiful.
resentment, right?
Yeah. So if you want to see what she's saying exactly, there is more detail in the book, The Gap. It's chapter 8, right?
Yes, chapter 8,
Chapter 8, she
how
talks
energy
about
affects the body.
energy, yeah, and then she talks about the color. In my first book, Rules of Change for the Better, I did the same thing, but I have a metrics and colors, and also I talk about different emotions and how it affects your different parts of the body.
It really does. Now, also in my chapter, I do want to add just quickly, I have the analogy of a mountain and digging a tunnel through the mountain. And so, I have spent quite a bit of time in Switzerland. I've been through plenty of tunnels through mountains. So if we imagine the health concern, the physical concern, for example, fertility as a mountain, and we want to dig a tunnel through it, we need to meet in the middle. So on one side, we're working on all of the functional things, all of the physical things. We're seeing therapists, acupuncture, functional medicine. We're doing scans, blood work, all of these type of things. But on the other side, we have to also be driving forward with the emotional and energetic causes of what's going on. And in that way, we meet in the middle. If we're only doing the physical things, we may get there, but it may not be a complete healing or a complete resolution. But if we're only doing the energetic and emotional, we will get there as well. But it could take it just as long to clear it as it did for it to accumulate. So we really want to use both in conjunction. And I think that's important to mention, that
I like
yes, we
that.
need to be looking at numbers, but we also need to be looking at the emotional and the energetic causes behind what's going on.
Beautiful. Cristy Murray, you talk about liver congestion. What do you do in functional medicine to remove this blocker?
So, liver congestion, I explain to people that the liver is your body's main detoxification organ. So it only works as good as you take care of it. So a lot of things that can affect it is our alcohol and a lot of toxins that are in the environment, from our food, from the medications and even supplements that we're taking. You don't want to keep having your liver work overtime, because eventually it's not going to detoxify. And it's really important for it to work properly, because like estrogen is one of those things that you can't have too much and you can't have too little. And if your liver is not working properly, detoxifying it, you may end up with like estrogen dominance that can really affect either fertility or other things. It's one of those things that, it's the liver, it's not needed for reproduction, but really it's really needed for life and in order to be healthy. And one of those things that I tell them to take good care of the liver is avoid alcohol, and go around their environment and look at the labels of the products that they use. If it has a lot of these toxins, um, and like unfortunately, the price of convenience we have these plastics because it's lighter, it's easier to stack, and we just need to be more mindful of what the plastics are made of, how much of them we are using, if we're heating them up because those leach into our food, the toiletries, the shampoos, the lotions that we use for our body. That all plays a big role in how our body functions. Not just, I mean, you have good skin, but really, are you really working properly inside? And if you're not feeling good, even though you look good on paper, something's not right, and we need to dig deeper into that.
Beautiful. Yes. Estrogen dominancy was one of my problem too. And that's why I went to acupuncture. And he said, you need, your liver needs to be healed. I mean, you have some congestion. And now we come back to Cho. She's going to talk about the liver congestion in acupuncture. How do you address it? How do you know that somebody has this problem, and what do you do about it?
Okay, so good question. And so we're looking at there's the physical and the energetic, right? So we know the liver is the organ. The job of the liver is to detox the body. And there's got to be over 50% of our population that has what we call fatty liver, right? And by the time we get to a certain age, we all have liver congestion. And the more stressed we are, that the liver gets really backed up because it doesn't have enough time to, you know, harmonize and uh, clear out all the metabolic waste. So it just starts to build up. One of the problems with also for women as they get older, that they have will tend to have more fatty liver as their estrogen goes down. Right? So there are many factors that, the reticuloendothelial system, part of our immune system, is also in the liver. So the liver organ is extremely important. It covers across your midsection, takes up a huge amount of space, and sits like right underneath the diaphragm. So I would say 99% of the people who come to see me have, we can call like a liver issue, meaning they have liver cheese constraint, right? So they are not breathing deeply, irritability, feeling stress, right? Stressed out. And so in Chinese medicine, the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi, also meaning the emotions, right? The liver is involved in everything. And so really, when I'm looking at what is actually happening, like the uterus is the liver, the ovaries are related to the kidney, right? So the kidney is more a kidney energy, the meridian. Endocrine, such as thyroid, pituitary, right? This is third eye chakra, connecting to your fifth chakra, right? Speaking your truth, right? To your heart chakra. Women have there, and to their uterus. So we're looking at, all of that connected. And when I look at someone coming in to see me, I know that the liver is somehow involved, the energetic liver, the meridian liver, the function of it. And then based on other signs and symptoms, we can start to look at what else is, happening. Inflammation, body inflammation, we're definitely going to be looking at the liver is not filtering, right? But there's definitely, with intestinal problems, we know that the liver is also going to be involved, again, because there is, all of the inflammation, the cytokines, right, that are going about. So it becomes a matter of what number one, we need to allow more space in that area for the liver to do its job. So we'd look at, making dietary changes. Definitely, what you think matters, because that sends off lots of chemicals and hormones that then bathe the entire body. Look at breathing, oxygenation, right? Are you meditating? Are you actually breathing well? Because as you inhale, you actually massage the organs in your in your abdomen, right? And opens up, and that actually helps to also massage the liver to move things out. And the other aspect is, are you having bowel movements, right? To help to move waste out of the system. And things like, dandelion, burdock, stinging nettles. There are formulas that are for liver, like liver patterns. And I tend to not recommend them if somebody is taking a lot of other things, right? So it has to be really easy for them. Exercise that involves twisting, like yoga with twisting, because that also helps the Xiaoyang, which is the side of the body. That aspect of the body is also part of the liver gallbladder. And then acupuncture points, to open up the entire channel. So the genitals are related to the liver, the meridian that goes in, right, internally circulates the genitals and reproductive organs. So with women with menstrual problems like irregular cycles and stuff, we know that the liver is involved with that. Fertility, more fertility related, endocrine related, including adrenal. Then we're looking at the kidney channel, right, which is like the deeper stuff. So there are many patterns that have like different combinations that we would look at.
Wow, that was amazing. That's why I love Cho. She's
Is
very
that
yeah. Um, I have a question about this with male. Let's say, um, does liver congestion uh, is liver congestion cause for infertility in men?
Absolutely, because of the inflammation, right? And then again, the liver channel, when we're looking at the meridian system, actually circles around the reproductive organs. So we're looking at the testicles themselves, like the function of the testicles is going to be related to the kidney, because that's where the sperm is manufactured. But the actual testicle, where you see, where there are varicocele or there's poor circulation in the groin. So men will have, anyone who has like a hernia or they sit a lot, which means that the circulation is blocked, right? Or there's too much heat. Alcohol, for sure, creates inflammation. So yeah, liver for sure, absolutely.
So that's why we need acupuncture. That's why we need functional medicine.
They're like,
Yeah, exactly. Because even for male, they need to produce a good quality sperm. So, and that's the real production of men and women. So I always recommend everybody, if they gonna have this fertility journey, do it together. Go and check with your hormone panels, your gut, liver, and do it both together. That's what I always recommend. So we are very close to, and I love this interview because it's very related to what I'm doing as well, and I love all of the chapters both of you wrote in my book and in your book. Right now, I want to ask you to have one sentence to give more hope to whoever is struggling with fertility issues. We start with Christi Clemons.
Oh, gosh. Encapsulating it down to one, I would say keep your energy clear and fluid and flowing by not hanging on to resentment or bitterness, anger, sorrow, or grief. Get some assistance in dealing with these things. Take walks in nature. Take time to breathe, as Cho says, deeply. Meditate. Spend some time by yourself. Get very clear on your reasons for wanting to be a parent, for wanting to bring a soul into the world. Get very clear on what you may be holding on to that may unconsciously be blocking the function of your energy system in your body. I'd say that's it.
Thank you. And now we go to Cristy Murray.
So yeah, it is kind of hard to put it down in one sentence, but what I would tell women is there's always a reason for everything, and as hard as it is to accept, because we are a culture of like now I want this now. Really give yourself grace, give yourself time, and take care of yourself. Know your body, know your heart, know your mind, and always advocate from yourself.
That was amazing. Cho,
It is.
you are mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. All right. So this is I would say a phrase. It comes from Muhammad Ali. It's a little bit. It's a take on his phrase, and it says, "If your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can actually achieve it." And that's what Don't give up hope. Don't. This is no matter what somebody tells you is possible. If you know it and you're connected to that and in alignment, then it will happen.
Wow. I love it. This is my favorite interview today. I love all of you, and hopefully we can do more work and work together, have more interviews, more books together. Thank you for being here, and hope to see you guys again.
Yeah, excited
If
for your next book.
yeah,
We'll talk
yeah,
about it in Toronto.
Thank you, Pantea.
yeah. Uh,
Thank you,
so
Pantea.
guys, thank you so much. So guys, you can get the book, The Gap. It's in Amazon. I will put the link in the YouTube. And we also have Naturally Conceived. We have Will I Get Pregnant with Tsao-Lin Moy. I love that book as well. So you can Christy, do you have any book? No,
Not yet. It's
not yet. You will.
conceiving in my mind.
Yeah. As Joe said, when it's conceived in your mind, it come to your work finally. Okay. See you guys again and have a great week ahead. Bye.
Very great. Thank you. Thank you.